You're listening to All My Friends Are Movie Fans. I am Thomas Dunham Judge, here to host conversation about what's new and relevant in film with my friends who are movie fans. So, Paul Dano is the worst actor in all of SAG, or at least according to one filmmaker who we had already planned on talking about before he made this conversation so much more interesting. With Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair in theaters this weekend, I figured I'd gather some friends to talk about Tarantino films, talk about Tarantino himself, and see how many obscure statements the panel can sneakily slip into the conversation. So, the friends joining me on this episode today are film critic at NerdBot and ForReel co-producer DERRICK Murray.
You and I have unfinished business, Thomas.
I love it. We will finish that business today. Yes. We also have Emmy-nominated TV and film editor Andy Young.
I'm not going to say the N-word just because Quentin Tarantino can. Stop trying to make me say it. There's a lot of my lines in this thing. I'm just, as a rule, I'm not going to do it.
Nobody has license here. That's great. We have the founder of Bite Size Breakdown, Nick Van Dinther.
I didn't have my Paul Dano shirt today, but you know, we're here for defense.
We will. Justice for Paul. And then we have indie filmmaker Ethan Ripperdan.
I'm not in defeat, so I'm ahead of the game right now.
Defeated.
You guys are great. Cool. A lot of new faces here. Guys, thanks for joining the podcast today. I'm looking forward to talking about Tarantino stuff. But before we jump in, I have to give the rules to the game first. So traditionally, we put a game at the end of the conversation, but this one is going to be a kind of a new thing for us to do. So essentially, I have assigned all of our panel specifically assigned lines to deliver at some point in this podcast. They don't have to do all of them, but the more that they can sneak in these lines into the conversation, the more points they'll get. And the other panelists will also get points for calling out when someone is slipping in a line. And if the panelist calls out someone and they're incorrect about that call out, then the accused will get a point. So this is going to be really interesting, hearing if you guys can slip these lines in without anyone else noticing, and how many of these you guys can catch.
Well, and also none of us have really met each other, so it's going to be interesting to like have a conversation and like be listening, but also be like, is that something you would say?
You know what, guys, this is so, I didn't even realize how Tarantino this is, because we are just here being very suspicious of everyone.
A lot of like side shots of just like
right, exactly. That's great, guys. So anyway, that's the rules of the game. I'll be judging and trying to keep score as best I can. And at the end, we'll powwow and tally points and see what lines you guys got in and which ones you weren't able to get in. But this will be fun. All right, and so that game starts now. So be thinking about where you can slip your lines in.
Well, guys, this is something that I just always say off the dinner. I just start doing all of them.
Yeah, anybody that knows me knows this is my catchphrase.
This is just kind of my deal when I say.
That's funny. However you make it work. And we're going to start off on the top with Tarantino and some statements he made this week on the podcast. I don't have the specific quotes here, but he kind of went off on some actors he wasn't a fan of. And I think this is very interesting conversation. And there are some things that I was thinking about with this topic. So, Derek, let's start with you. When you heard this news, what was your take on, Tarantino just kind of ripping apart actors like Paul Dano and Owen Wilson?
I think I said this in my Whole Bloody Affair kind of quick review, but like, say what you want about Tarantino, because every time he talks, he just puts his foot in his mouth. And that is, I mean that all pun intended, for his own level of filmmaking. But like when he makes movies, they tend to be near masterpieces. So I always have a hard time with these types of things of reconciling like the man behind the camera, because there was so much of everything that he said where I was like, dude, can you just shut up? Like, just please stop talking. Just stop talking. Like, and now I really need to know what Paul Dano did to him. I need to know what movie he was going to be in what movie he was assigned to, what movie he had he was on a plane to go shoot like for Inglourious Bastards, and then turned around and didn't do the film, and now Quentin Tarantino holds a grudge. That is my own personal theory as to why you would ever go after someone like Paul fucking Dano. He's just such a weird thing to go after. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a bizarre fling of for me, if you're going to talk to Tarantino, keep him talking about movies. Let him talk about movies because that, like, yes, he says some weird shit, but at least it's like a little bit more targeted and it doesn't have this like sprawling shotgun barrel of people catching strays when
there was certainly a shotgun kind of nature to those statements. Andy, let's get your take on this. What do you think about this news?
Off of Derek, I know exactly the movie it was because I was just thinking about this because I was thinking of like what Paul Dano performances would really rub him the wrong way, and then I remembered the Oscar-winning movie 12 Years a Slave starts with Paul Dano just singing a song that uses the N-word over and over again. And I'll bet Quentin Tarantino was in the theater being like, son of a bitch, he got the part. I sent my stuff directly to Steve McQueen. I sent it directly to John Ridley. I was like, this is mine. I was born to do this role. And then he saw Paul Dano do it and be like, I don't believe that he says that in his daily life. That is my take. Because again, like, I think, like, again, I love Tarantino movies. Like, I'm a huge, huge fan. I think that Tarantino as a director, writer is great. Tarantino as an actor is always the worst part of a Tarantino movie. Like, he's a background extra that, like, he has, like, this, like, a tiny little action and it just, like, feels over-rehearsed. Like, whenever I think of, like, Reservoir Dogs, you know he was just off to the side instead of working with the actors and just like, get it together, QT, you just got to do this points. So I don't know. It's like, it's like the Kanye West thing to me where I'm just like, oh, you can't say that stuff. You're a bad person. And then I'm like, but you made Graduate. I don't know. I'm really torn now. So it's just like, I don't know. I love Quentin Tarantino, the writer director. I think as a person, sometimes he just like, he just says like the weirdest stuff sometimes, and I'm like, oh, dude, like you need someone dialing you back a little bit. He's like, he's been famous for 30 years and he's never had that.
Yeah, that's true. Nick, sound off about this. What do you think?
Yeah, first of all, like all the headlines have been focused on Paul Dano and Owen Wilson, but justice for Matthew Lillard, who caught strays here for some reason. I don't know what would even make you think to insult the work of Matthew Lillard. Shaggy himself, one of the highlights of Life of Chuck. But
it's true.
I don't get why his name was thrown out, but also Tarantino has always felt like a particularly petty person. And this doesn't feel as much like it's a role thing, and I wonder if there's some kind of a personal grudge or Tarantino feeling he was hard done by Paul Dano in some way, because yeah, it's a weird thing to say. And I like that Tarantino, like, his list is really out there, but you feel like it's authentically him. Mm-hmm. This feels personal and not like he's trying to, go viral or anything like that. But like, this is more like, screw you, Paul Dano. I don't know what the rule on swearing here is.
Oh, go for it. Sound off.
Except for the N-word,
Paul Dano.
That.
Except right.
Yeah, this feels like a big fuck you, Paul Dano, the person, over Paul Dano, the actor.
Yeah, I just really quick, the pull quote is I'm not saying he's giving a terrible performance. I'm saying he's giving a non-entity performance, which, like, yeah, that sounds like grudge kind of talking. Like, are you actually critiquing his acting, or are you just a petty bitch?
It's also, he had like 2 weeks to prepare for There Will Be Blood. It was some other guy, and then it was just like, yeah, to bring this like groundbreaking performance in with under 2 weeks. I'm like, no, it's amazing. And he had to be two people. He had to be the twin as well at the start. So
yeah,
justice for PD.
Ethan, I need your take.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the cowboy performance in Night of the Museum that Owen Wilson had, I do kind of see that as like the low-hanging fruit kind of actor he could pull punches for, but like Paul Dano was something else. Like, what the fuck? Like, There Will Be Blood, Little Miss Sunshine. Like, that was more unexpected on my part, and I do back the opinion that it is him being petty over something, but I feel like that's kind of half the battle of being a Tarantino fan, is there's just like the emotions mixed into him because he always gets so worked up over talking about it. But I think it does make it interesting, and I think a lot of filmmakers, the really great ones, have that kind of obsessive mindset. Like, I'm a huge Kubrick fan, and dude was just an insane bastard. So
That is true.
I think it is very much
just to say about him.
Exactly.
It's hard to find a well-adjusted genius.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, so this is the thing I was thinking about is, look, I think these statements are entirely out of pocket. And I mean, I didn't actually go pay to listen to the whole podcast. I tried to get everything in context, but I did listen to some excerpts and get a little more context around it. And I'm listening to it, and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit and open it up to everyone because, you know, we all have very strong opinions. We all have hot takes. And so I guess my question here is, are celebrities allowed to express their negative opinions about other celebrities on the record? What do you guys think about that?
They are, but it's the same thing with any type of freedom of speech where it's like the pendulum swings both ways. It's like you are allowed to say whatever you want. You are allowed to believe whatever you want. That doesn't mean you're able to do it without repercussions. And it's like, it's not the worst thing he could say. It's not the worst thing he's ever said. But I think it like kind of drives the thing because it's just like, like the thing we've all alluded to, like, what did he do to you? Like, what is like such the problem? Like, I think it was I'm not sure if this was exactly, but it was something like the worst actor in SAG. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, that's a pretty, like, that's a big statement. I have I know a lot of actors in SAG that I think I would say are lower on the list of like bad actors than Paul Dano.
I think a lot of actors. Look, there's a lot of talent in SAG, but like Paul Dano, he's pretty up there. So
yeah, he's. I'm surprised I don't think he's ever been nominated for any of the acting roles, which is crazy. Like whether it's like a small thing in Youth or like any of his bigger stuff he's doing, like Ruby Sparks. I'm just like, I'm always kind of amazed. If anything, it's like. Same with Matthew Lillard. I'm just like, dude, SLC Punk is like one of the best movies of all time. I can't believe that like he would like get hit with that. That's crazy to me.
I think to your point too is like it's not just that he has strong opinions. Like Tarantino's always been someone that has strong opinions, right? Like even in the way that he defends some of his choices, like we've alluded to them already, right? Like his overuse of the N-word, his desperate need to put feet in every single movie. Like there are so many things that you can be extremely critical and extremely wary of when it comes to what he does, even just as a filmmaker, let alone the things that he says, because he is a very outspoken person. I think in this particular instance, I actually love a good Twitter beef. I love when celebrities just start going back and forth at each other. Like I have no stake in Cardi B or Nicki Minaj, but watching those two just absolutely unhinged women subtweet and retweet each other back and forth, it's the best Twitter ever is. So I'm all down for celebrity feuds. But I think with this one in particular, we're like Andy kind of said, like we're just trying to figure out like, wait, what did he do to you? Because it's just such a weird person to call out. And to Ethan's point of like, yeah, okay, if you want to go after Owen Wilson, like, okay, the guy's been, you can say what you want about him because he just has that persona. We know him as the wow guy. That's just who he is. So like, yeah, if you want to go after him, no, Owen Wilson isn't catching strays. Like it's a pretty easy thing to do. Like if you're a sketch on Saturday Night Live, then yeah, it's open game. But no episode of Saturday Night Live has done a Paul Dano sketch where they just do 12 Years a Slave and There Will Be Blood as a comedy sketch. So it's just like
the Little Miss Sunshine, like silence,
yeah, right. Like nobody's doing that. So it's a very bizarre. Like I'm all down for feuds, but this one I think somebody had mentioned it where it just feels really personal. Like something has happened that we don't know about, and now he's like calling it out, and we're all left wondering what the hell's going on because Paul Dano's never had his name dragged like that. Matthew Lillard's, no one has ever said a bad word about Matthew Lillard. Like, you're right. The dude is Shaggy for all of us, for a generation. Who goes after Shaggy? What are you doing?
Yikes. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this? Having going on record with negative opinions as a celebrity, you know?
I think the downside about it is I don't feel like Paul Dano is the kind of person who's going to respond in any way because he's Paul Dano. Like nothing against him, but it is like a weird call out because sure, he's not like at the bottom, but I don't think he's at anyone's top either. He's just kind of a name that you would really not think about that much. Like he shows up and you're like, oh wow, like good job. But you don't think like, oh, I'm gonna put him in like the zeitgeist right now. And he doesn't feel like he's gonna respond to anything. So it's a very one-sided beef. So I don't even know if there was any plan of what Tarantino was trying to accomplish with this. I think it just kind of died. It's just this quote.
Yeah. That's valid. Ethan, last thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, celebrities are entitled to say what they want to say, and as we did kind of establish, like freedom of speech does go both ways. But even for Tarantino, it's like, where is this coming from? Like, we've seen him get like super worked up when he was in defense of violence and Kill Bill, but like that's on the turf of him promoting the movie. But this is like, okay, like that's the take.
Yeah, that's valid. And actually a really good segue. The next topic to kind of address is the fact that Kill Bill is back in theaters. Y'all, I 4.5 hours is a long time to sit in the theater. And I did it on a work night. So it was I'm still recovering from that. But I told Derek that I have opinions, and I'm gonna just step on my own soapbox for a moment and and give my history with Kill Bill, because I don't remember when I saw it, but I remember I watched it at home, and this was shortly after it came out, so I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it at home, and for the last 20 years, I have just always thought to myself, I hate Kill Bill. Like, those movies did not appeal to me at all, right? And so when the whole bloody affair going back in theaters came up, I was like, okay, I'm in a different place in life. It's been 20 years. I'm out of the conservative household that I was living in as a teenager. Let me go back and revisit these films. And so 4.5 hours later, yeah, actually Kill Bill slaps. Those movies are great. I'm of the opinion, though, and maybe we can go into this debate too. I'm of the opinion that Volume 1 is far superior to Volume 2. Far superior, so much so that I would have preferred to cut a lot out of Volume 2 and just make it like a 3.5 hour single movie. And I know there's a lot of debate over whether Kill Bill is one movie or two. We can go into that, but that's my history with Kill Bill. I'm a changed man, I guess, when it comes to my perspective on Kill Bill. I can respect and acknowledge what was being done in that movie a lot more now than I could 20 years ago. And so it's kind of nice to have that new perspective on the movies. And I had a great time. It was a fun time at the movies. So even though it was 4.5 hours, I enjoyed myself. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Kill Bill. Who else was able to get to the theater to see Bloody Affair? Yeah, cool. It's a long one. Yeah, let's talk about that. Andy, we'll start with you. Tell me about your theatrical experience with the whole Bloody Affair.
Okay, well, so here's the thing, like, he never really hides his influences. Like, I've been watching a lot of, like, Kung Fu, like, Shaw Brothers stuff recently, like 36 Chambers of Shaolin, or even, like, this isn't Shaw Brothers, but, like, they played the Lady Snowblood movies out here recently in LA.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it really is, it's the most clear movie of just, like, you know, it's, like, literally, like, oh, he's like, I'm going to use this from this movie, I'm going to use this from this movie. Like, he treats genre like a buffet. Like, he just picks whatever he wants, and he just, like, puts it all into, like, the melting pot of, like, I'm just going to use all of these different Kung Fu movies and make one, like, super Kung Fu movie. And so it was really fun. I got to see it at the Vista. I think my one thing was, like, I think, like, all of us, at least the first time we saw it, was, like, split up. So I've only ever thought of it as two movies. And the big change that I noticed is, like, they take out the cliffhanger at the start of the first one. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that, because I love that, like, does he know her daughter is still alive? Like, blah, blah. Like, that was my favorite thing of the movie. And then when they, like, breezed past it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But I went with my friend Jen, and she had never seen any of the movies. So seeing her, like, react to it of just like, whoa, like, they did that? Like, it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, he can take, like, a cliche and make it brand new. He can, like, really bring something in like that. So it was really fun to see him. Like, I think I still prefer it as like 2 movies though. Like, as I really thought about it, I was the same as Derek. I had to watch it on school nights. It was like, oh, like how did I get in at 11 and then leaving at or get in at 7 and leave at 11? It is just like very long, but it's just so much fun. You can tell he's having fun behind the camera. It's just, I like him as a writer, director, actor. I think it's a benefit that he's not in either of the Kill Bill movies. At least I don't think he is.
No,
from what I remember, he's not in any of them.
He's not. Yeah.
I'll tell you guys, Andy's on a roll right now. Nick, let me get your theatrical experience with the whole bloody affair.
Yeah, so I've learned this talking to some of my American friends. Here in Canada, all the press screenings are at 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, they
I
do
always
that.
start my
Yep.
day with them. So this was a 9:30 start. I think we got out around almost 2 o'clock. Kill Bill Volume 2 has always been my least favorite Tarantino film. And Kill Bill Volume 1 is also in the running for lowest. It's just never connected with me. I think it's a very blatant tribute to martial arts films. And I think for that, what it does is he succeeds in that. It's just not quite my genre. But I think the thing that really hurt it a little bit for me going back and watching it now is when I originally saw the Kill Bill films, we didn't have things like John Wick, or we didn't have things like The Furious and The Raid and things like that were like so prevalent. And a movie that's kind of always rested on the laurels of this is a great action film. I didn't feel that watching it nowadays. I felt it was very aged, and I didn't quite get as into it in the same way. And though I do actually think it's improvement turning it into one film, there's something about it. It feels like it's a film of its time, and that time is past. And when it comes to making it into the whole bloody affair, I don't think it really does anything to justify its own existence.
This is an interesting point because when I saw Kill Bill, I realized recently that was my first Quentin Tarantino movie, and so I had no context going to those movies, which fed into why I didn't like them back then. But
what my first one was now, I'm not sure. They all kind of came at the same time, you know.
Yeah,
I think Pulp Fiction was my first one. I think I had
Yeah.
started with Pulp Fiction and then ended up going back and doing Reservoir Dogs and then Jackie Brown, and then from that point on, I just kind of followed them in order.
First one I definitely remember because I was like the same as like I was like raised not conservative, but it was very like no watching like these types of movies. It was very against that, so I couldn't like sneak out to go see them in theaters or anything. So I think like I started becoming a film fan in like 2007. So it's like you see Pulp Fiction, you see Reservoir Dogs, you go through the thing, and then when Inglourious Basterds hit, that was the one that was like like I'll talk about it later with the favorite stuff, but that was the real mind blow QT one for me. But yeah, like I remember watching the 2 Kill Bills at a sleepover and being kind of like, I don't know if this one's for me. Like it felt a little like it should have been one movie. In hindsight, I really did like the bloody affair, but like there's still things as an editor where I'm like, well, I don't know, this part feels kind of slow.
I think for me too, just to kind of talk about Tarantino, not that Thomas didn't call on me, but we'll just talk about it right now.
there you go.
So I do think that so Kill Bill had a huge impression on me. So I was still young in my film watching career, and I just really fell in love with those homages. I understand the idea that like some of this stuff doesn't age well, because now I think what Kill Bill, at least Volume 1, does is it really does set a precedent of introducing Hong Kong cinema homages to general American audiences. And that is just not something that we had. We really didn't have. I mean, yes, you could, I guess The Matrix would really be the first one that really but that more takes style, right? Like that takes the style of martial arts and then imprints them onto a sci-fi action movie.
Yeah, it puts like the cyberpunk like rap on it as opposed to exactly. This is 36 Chambers of the Shaolin. Yeah,
100%. I mean, getting the RZA to do the score, who is obsessed with Hong Kong cinema and Hong Kong music and martial arts action. Like, he's putting all of the pieces on there to be like, I am going to Americanize Lady Snowblood. That is what we're doing. I am going to make this as a direct homage, and it does. It feels like Tarantino is just walking through Blockbuster in the random martial arts section and just picking up a movie and being like, yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. He never hides his influences. He literally just like
Ever.
pulls all the different things he wants to use and just makes it into like one really cool movie.
And I think Kill Bill is the most direct. It's the most direct and it's the most blatant, particularly in part one. What I find fascinating about part one and part two as separate entities and then putting them together, what I find fascinating is a couple of things. So one, I find it incredibly interesting that Volume 1 doesn't actually feel like a Tarantino movie outside of the extreme violence. The extreme violence and the nonlinear storytelling, but it very much feels like this is someone trying to make a genre feature. And I'm not saying anybody else could do it, but there's not a whole lot of Tarantino in comparison to Volume 2, where Volume 2 is all Tarantino. It's a lot of talkies. That man, I am convinced that man loves diners. Just this is where he goes all the time. This is what he does, right? But it's a lot of people talking in diners. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of pictures of feet. The guy knows how to do a trunk shot. Like all of these things are like staples of like what he does, but they're all much more prevalent in Volume 2. And so I actually think putting them together, while I do miss the cliffhanger, I think with Tarantino movies, like you kind of have to watch them like 3 times. There's always a detail you're going to miss after 3 times. Like you're always going to discover something. You got to watch a movie like 3 times before you really start to uncover everything in it. And I think Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, when they're mashed together, I actually do think it shows both sides of Tarantino. And while I still think it really highlights how much Kill Bill Volume 1 is better than Volume 2, I think it feels like the most complete I think he's ever been outside of Inglourious Bastards, because I do think that is his genuine masterpiece. Like that's a movie that only he can make. No one else can make it. This is the culmination of his career. It's the best of everything that he does. That's how I feel about Inglourious, not to jump too far ahead, but that is truly, the movie ends with him literally commenting on his own film of like, yeah, this is my masterpiece, guys. I got it. But this one does feel like the sprawling Tarantino, all the weird antics and quirks and homages and everything that he does. This one feels like it blends both of them, where it's like, here's my martial arts movie, here's my Tarantino movie. I'm going to put them together, and now they're one. That's how I walked away from it.
Was the trunk line a slip line?
The trunk line was a slip line.
Good I was like watching you, and I was just like, oh, that feels like that was off the cuff. Because you're like so natural. A lot of stuff. I was like, oh, I don't know about that one.
I just got 3 in there though. I got 3 in that.
He did.
Okay, that's impressive. I've done pretty good, but there's like been a couple where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to like put this into my own verbiage.
Well, you did bring up good call.
You did bring up an interesting point, though, that I never really considered. And that is, like you said, the first half of this is a genre film. And where I really enjoy like the Tarantino style of filmmaking. The first half of this film, especially revisiting it, I know we're probably not going to get it now, but it does make me think about something like how he was in talks to get a Star Trek film made. And, it was like, how would that work as a Tarantino film? And the one thing I will say about Kill Bill, especially Volume 1, is it shows you that he can make Tarantino un-Tarantino films, if that makes sense. Like he can direct well, but he doesn't. It doesn't always have to be with all of his flourishes. So it reignites I know that he's very adamant about limiting the number of films he's going to do, but it's like, I want to see him branch out around different genres. Like, give him a Western. Give this guy a rom-com. Like, let's see what he can do outside of being blatantly Quentin Tarantino. And I kind of wish we got more of that now that it seems like his career is coming to an end.
Yeah, come on, Tarantino. Do a Western. Just one is all I ask. I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Right, Ethan, I want you to give some thoughts on this too. What has been? I know you weren't able to get to the whole bloody affair in theaters, but what's been your experience with Kill Bill and Tarantino movies?
Yeah, I mean, Kill Bill was also the first Tarantino movie that I ever saw. It just like appeared on Netflix, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll watch it. And for me, I've always kind of appreciated it because I like the heavy stylized aesthetic of it. Like the iconography for the movie is incredibly recognizable. So I've always just had good praise for that movie. I will probably have to go see The Bloody Affair because I do not remember much of Volume 2. I remember a lot more about Volume 1.
As it should be, really.
Yeah, it's ironic considering Volume 1 doesn't even end with like the confrontation. So
I was
yeah.
thinking about that. I would be perfectly happy just having Volume 1 be Volume 1 and calling it Kill O-Ren, and then that's it.
Yeah, but then you don't have like the fun title of like Kill Bill.
Yeah, you
rhyme
can leave that to
scheme of
Volume
it.
2.
Change
Volume
your
2
name,
is called
have her
Kill
kill
Bill.
Jill, you know? It's
Kill
like,
Jill.
There you go. Yeah.
This might be a great movie executive. QT, we can save this. Like,
Tarantino, I know your movie career is coming to a close, but you still got some things that you could chop up a little bit.
yeah.
There's still some juice here. Still some juice
Exactly. I mean, after watching Kill Bill, that was right around the time that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was coming out, so I just went on like a whole
here.
Tarantino movie binge. And it was like Kill Bill, then Reservoir Dogs, and Pulp Fiction, and then Glorious Bastards, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Which is interesting that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was one of the more like immediate Tarantino films that I watched because it was just very out there from a pacing standpoint, and it's just very much him kind of vibing out in 60s Hollywood.
It's fun seeing him do a hangout movie. Like, I know I haven't seen whatever the top 10 is. Every time I want to look at this top 10 he's talking about, it's always behind a paywall. But I'm from Austin. I remember him shouting out Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused in the first like 20. And it's like, yeah, it's like he loves a good hangout movie. And it's like so much of what we love about Quentin is like plot and like structure. But it's fun to see him just like the first time I saw Once Upon a Time, I was like, oh man, this is kind of meandering. And the second time I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a hangout movie. He wanted to do something of just like seeing Sharon Tate just like go to the movies and shit. And it's just like, sometimes it's fun to see him do something that's like totally removed from like the hard like plot points that so many of his other movies have, where it's just like, it's all vibes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, also Margot Robbie's feet, like he had to squeeze that in there a little bit.
Well, you always have to squeeze Margot Robbie's feet if you get a cast.
If you can, you should. Yeah, I think the thing too I like is that even as he's bouncing around from genre to genre, movie to movie, there's always someone with a signature look, right? As you can tell, right?
Yes.
Those are always things that exist in his movies. So, and I think too, one of the things that is so incredibly singular about the way that he directs and the way that he does things is even when he tries to tackle Hangout and he does his Western with Django Unchained, he does his World War II movie with Inglourious Basterds, he does his Chinese homage or his Hong Kong cinema homage. There is always, you can take almost any frame and somebody would instantly recognize, oh yeah, that's a Tarantino movie. And that's just something that he does so well. And I think tying this back into Kill Bill in particular, because Kill Bill is so genre coded, it's so genre, and yet you can literally take any still from this movie. It doesn't matter what it is. Uma Thurman doesn't even have to be, you can take any still and you will immediately know, oh yeah, that's Kill Bill. And that just, I think, just speaks to how, and I think this elevates him above just being like a copycat, right? Because I think that's something that a lot of people accuse him of being. And I think that's what separates him from being a copycat and being a true homage auteur, where, sure, you can say that Kill Bill is Lady Snowblood. You absolutely could. And you would be right. There are literally side-by-side stills that you can rip from those movies and be like, oh, like even just in Kill Bill 1, the whole scene at the end where it's her and O-Ren Ishii is like, literally ripped from that movie. Just
and all the motivations, it's all Lady Snowblood.
All Lady Snowblood. But at the same time, it still feels very Quentin. It still feels very him. It still feels like him, again, going through Blockbuster, finding movies that he loves, and then wanting to do his own spin on that. So yeah, I don't know. I think I had such a good time with this, and I actually the two things I really loved is I loved just transitioning straight into the story from the way it ends. I do miss the cliffhanger a little bit, but I do like that it's like, okay, this whole thing is done. boom, we're back at the wedding chapel. Like,
Yeah, and then
no
the girl
break.
thing like hits so much better at the end too, where it's just like,
yeah,
whoa.
and then so I really liked that. And then this was something I've been thinking about for as long as probably 2 decades now since this movie came out. I have always wondered if Bill was the one that actually kills Oren Ishii's parents, because so much of that anime sequence highlights the rings and the way he holds the sword. It's all very much like it's implying that he was the one that actually did it and she never saw him. And this movie answers that question so much. I mean, the answer is no.
I never
that's
thought
not
about
the
that.
case.
Yeah.
I noticed, again, kind of going back to like, you got to watch this movie a couple times. Like if you watch it 3 times, because that's a detail I watched. So in Kill Bill, like if you take out Kill Bill 2, before you actually meet Bill, the very first time we ever see Bill is him holding that sword, and it's focusing on the way he's holding it. He's shifting his hand around it. He's opening up the blade in and out, but it focuses on the hand and it focuses on the handle, and you see rings. And that's a big thing. Like that's how we are introduced to Bill. And then you fast forward to this anime track, and most of what we see of Pretty Ricky is all rings and hands and how he holds the sword, and he's got the white suit, and he looks like he's supposed to be Bill. And this whole extended version and the whole bloody affair solidifies that, like, no, they are not the same at all. Like not even close. So I really appreciated that. Getting unanswered questions 20 years later.
Did anyone else have thoughts on the extended animated segments of this movie and the whole bloody affair?
Well, I think the other thing that I kind of remember, didn't remember as well, is because it's Kill Bill and Bill seems so prevalent, is he really is kind of like the Darth Vader in this film in A New Hope, where you don't really get to see Bill be a badass. It's just kind of assumed. And there's no, like, I don't think he kills anyone on screen. I know he shoots her when they have the interaction on the couch. But other than that, you just kind of get to see him be like quiet and menacing. But you never get to see Bill like lash out or, go on a killing spree or anything like that. And I do like that about the film, that he is this kind of looming presence, but you don't need to out and out show him being this violent entity that they allude to him being.
Totally. Yeah, the animated sequence was it was a lot. It was extra violent. My goodness.
It reminded me of like I feel like we're all roughly the same age. I remember like before YouTube, I was a big Linkin Park fan, and getting like the Breaking the Habit music video downloaded and like seeing that because it's like a very similar style of like anime, like very hard, all like animated on ones. And then seeing the Quentin Tarantino thing and just being like, is this the same guy? It all has that kind of like very like hyper stylized look, which is always something I really love seeing about it this time. But it was also just like, oh man, this is like way more violent than even I remember it being.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So not even in the extended animated sequence, but the fact that so in this version, and not that there's spoilers, but in this version, there's no need to worry about trying to get the R rating, and so he doesn't have to change the lighting into black and white. You just get to see. And
that's what it was.
It genuinely felt like it was the first time I had ever watched the showdown in House of Leaves. I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. When did we decapitate people? I don't remember this in this fight sequence, but it's because everything gets dialed down to black and white, and so you miss a lot of that. And so this heightened, I just remember, like, I've seen this movie probably 100 times in my life, and I just remember like right as that, because I know at some point it was supposed to switch, and there's just he does such a good job in like creating, like making silence feel like really dangerous and really like you just know that there's a moment in this place where you just sit and you're like, oh yeah, it's about to get bloody, like shit is about to go down. And I don't know, I've seen this movie 100 times and I had no idea that it was going to go there, because I've only ever seen half of this scene in black and white, and I was just like, oh shit, like I get why they had to. I get it. I see why they made him do this now.
No, I realized like how nervous I was like watching the whole movie. Like every scene is just like a masterclass in tension building of just like, okay, it's slow. We're not quite sure where this is going to go, and then it's like getting raised and raised and raised. Like I still think Bastards is like the best of it, like the card scene. But it's like something I love. When a lot of people I think of his movies, they think of just like, oh, there's these like silences or no, the opposite. They think of it just like very like quick and crazy action. It's like no, it's usually like 20 minutes of like silence and like where is this going, and then it's a quick hit of like 10 seconds of craziness. I always love that.
Okay,
kind of
hold
stuff
on. Was the silent tension? Was that yours? Was that a line?
No,
I
that's just-
don't think so.
That's Andy Young off the dome.
I
Silent
know
tension.
it was Derek's line. I know it was Derek's line.
Oh, I just had a general take then. Hashtag general takes.
That's funny. Good attempt. I actually had to take a minute to be like, wait, whose line was that? Because that
But
was
I
a
did
line.
sneak one in. Yeah.
You did. That's true.
Well done. Hold on. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've gotten 7, and I've only got called out once. So pretty good.
I had 5, technically 6, but I see why he's not putting one of mine because I kind of flubbed the wording of it. So
It's okay. Always more opportunity. Always more opportunity.
I'll bring this. One of these is like 20 words long, and I'm just like, okay, I can put that in.
Yeah, you gotta sparse it out. Properly.
Yeah, I gotta like figure out a way to like make that feel.
You don't want to call too much attention to it,
Yeah, I'm trying to fit it into like what I actually want to say, but I'm trying to make sure that like the end of the line is the right phrasing because I think that's where it's going to trigger Thomas.
If you go back and watch mine, most of them were sandwiched in like this thing, the line, this thing.
Yes.
Well, part of me is also just like looking up quotes. I'm like, all right, I only know ones where he's saying the N-word, so let me try and like make sure I can get some that's like that I can sneak in, and that's like proper.
Well, it's fun because
but you win.
Yeah, no, so these lines, I'll be transparent. Like these lines, I just went to like ChatGPT and was like, give me some interesting lines for them to throw in. So these aren't necessarily
they feel generic. Yeah.
Yes, that's why.
Right.
I'll be more specific. I'll be more specific next time. But as a test run, this is going great. So these aren't necessarily lines from the movies, but definitely just like statements that you need to throw in. So this is
I thought it
like,
was stuff he's said while he's been like high on cocaine or something.
Oh, that I mean, you know what? Maybe that's where ChatGPT got all these. I don't know.
Because that was the one thing I was gonna say about like the whole thing of him getting in trouble. It's like I didn't listen to that podcast, but it feels like a lot of stuff I've heard of Quentin Tarantino. It's like an hour of him saying crazy things, and then it's us as a culture picking this one thing he said and like plucking that out. But for all I know, he probably said like a ton of other like insane stuff in that podcast that also could have been the thing. I don't know why it's the Paul Dano thing, but that's the thing I see on the internet now where it's like we see it every day in politics, but we see it in pop culture as well. If it's just this long little thing and someone says like, oh, by the way, and it's like, wait.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing that they
I think we're just like so used to Tarantino that something like that where it's just so out of left field. It's like, okay.
It's all the times
I heard him talking about like how little girls would enjoy watching Kill Bill for all the violence. And so, Paul Dano just like whoa, that's controversial.
No, it's just always amazing to see like, and again, I'm a big fan, but it's like the same with the Kanye West of just like someone always like giving the world's most confident bad take and just like seeing them like really try to like sell this thing. I'm just like, oh, you make it so hard to like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is a good halfway point. Which, by the way, speaking of intermissions, the intermission happened, and I'm used to the Brutalist intermission where it gave this nice little graphic and a little countdown, and I knew how much time I had to go get popcorn or go to the bathroom, and this was just the word intermission, and I'm like, oh, okay, so how long do I have to wait? Like, I'm not sure. I mean, I could take a guess, but
like I said, tension.
That's true.
That is a lot of tension in silence. That is true. That is definitely did that.
The longer I wait, the more it's going to be hard to get back, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is a good halfway point. Let's transition into more about his filmography. I think that I kind of want to start here. I had a plan for this part and I'm not following it anymore. So I kind of want to start here with talking about Tarantino's early career. So that 90s run that he went on with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. And let's talk about what's that?
Well, his first film is like My Best Friend's Birthday. It's like
that's right, and then there's that too.
No.
So I kind of want to start with that.
He also wrote True Romance as well. So even though he wasn't in it or directed,
and Natural Born Killers. We having a nerd off right now?
Do you guys want to host?
That's more killers. Yep.
If, like, if you guys
No,
want to
no.
host, I'll just sit back and moderate the game.
It's okay. Look, you're new to this Tarantino thing, bro. We don't need you. It's fine.
I know. I actually am. True story. Like, I think Kill Bill kind of put me off, and I've seen Tarantino movies over the years, but I don't know. I have not been the biggest Tarantino fan. I enjoy being a part of conversations. I enjoy when he says dumb shit, and talking about that. But yeah, it's very interesting to hear people who are a lot more well versed with his career, with his persona, and that makes being a part of this really fun. So let's talk about those early years of Tarantino, the pre-2000 movies, and get your guys' take there. What do we feel about how he was making films before Kill Bill?
I'm an editor, and I think the smartest thing that he ever did in his entire career was working with Sally Mink. Like, I think she is just like one of the greatest editors of all time, and kind of a perfect collaborating partner with her. Because again, it's like editing is supposed to be invisible. You're not supposed to see it, but like with his choices, it feels like they're kind of like winking at the audience. Like, oh, we want you to kind of like catch this thing. We want you to be able to like bring into this. And I think it's something Sally was always really good at in her career. Because before she worked with QT, she'd only ever done like the live action Ninja Turtles movie. But I think like the pairing of them is what works so well, going back to that tension of just like, I think that's like a big thing that people forget about like Quentin when they talk about his early movies. Like, so much of it, there's a great documentary about like editing on YouTube, and like so much of that was Sally. And I just want to like shout her out. She sadly passed away after Inglourious Bastards, and he's worked with other directors since, which to me I've been able to tell. But I don't think Sally Minky has ever gotten her flowers properly. So that's the big thing I want to say of the 90s run. I don't think we would know who Quentin Tarantino is if he had never worked with her.
Wow, yeah, interesting take. Nick, do you have thoughts on this era of Tarantino?
Yeah, the thing I think interesting about this era is, especially nowadays, a lot of people think of Tarantino as like the violent films.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in that early 90s run, the dialogue is as, if not more important than the violence in those films. Like, yes, you remember, the ear getting cut off in Reservoir Dogs, but it's, it's almost like a therapy session. Like they're back and forth talking quotes, whether it's the Royale with cheese. That's what you remember from those. You don't remember these violent outbursts that you do in a lot of the later films. And I like that. I like dialogue-driven films, so that tends to be something I gravitate towards. And I think he's lost that a little bit in certain aspects where he doesn't create those moments in some of his more recent films without having the spectacle of it all. And I think that's something that he really excelled at in that 90s run.
Dialogue more important than the violence. Was that a slip?
More important than the violence? I don't think so. That wasn't a slip, was it?
All right. You win this round.
Good attempt.
I'm too cocky about my slips.
He did get one. He did get one in there. So
yeah.
It's so hard. It's really, really hard to call it out. It's really tough.
And it also feels
Very
rude.
difficult.
Like, I don't know any of you guys, so it's just to be like, is that something that ChatGPT would say?
You can't actually have that take off the dome. There's no way.
Exactly.
that's funny.
I do actually want to piggyback on that though, because I also, one of the things that really attracts me to things like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, is one. I agree with Andy that the editing is truly what makes the difference, because doing nonlinear storytelling, doing multi-subplot, doing underground, criminal underworld type of movie, none of that stuff is new. Even putting them all together isn't new. But what is new is how dynamic it all feels and how well it all actually ends up coming together. And while that is a tribute to Tarantino's incredible screenplays, it's also like you can't make that work if somebody is not able to actually put those pieces together. And there's no way they can work this good if you don't have somebody in the editing room that knows what they're doing, right? Like a good example is the original Star Wars. Like, we would not have Star Wars if it was not for George Lucas's wife, who came in and actually made that movie work in the editing room, because otherwise it would be an absolute unmitigated disaster, and we would not have it in our zeitgeist in our life.
Same for Psycho. It's like there's so many cases that where it's just like one of the greatest films of all time could have been terrible, but there's just as many where it's like something terrible, it could have been amazing with the right editor. So I love that call out. I think that's great.
one of the things though is I like good dialogue. Anytime I've ever tried to write anything myself, I really, really love dialogue. I just think it's having really strong dynamic dialogue is something that's really important. And the things I remember the most from his early work, especially those 3 films, and even some of the stuff he's written, like True Romance and that kind of thing, is not the violence. Yes, I remember the ear, but the thing that always sticks out to me the most in Reservoir Dogs is Tim Roth going over his monologue and watching him get better and better and better and better at getting that story all the way down to when he's actually doing it live. That to me is just, it's awesome. Like that is that's my favorite writing.
He goes from flubbing to like he's like working off of like things that other people are saying. Yeah,
and you literally watch him in real time get more natural telling this story. And those are the things that I think are really good staples. I think you could take any one of these movies, particularly these 3. I think some of them in the latter half, maybe a little bit, but particularly these 3, like you can take a lot of these, and there are plenty of times where Quentin basically makes it like a stage play, and you can just rip that out. And like that scene in particular, right? That's a good one where you could take that out and be like, oh yeah, I could watch this on stage and watch watch the scenery just change as you watch this performer speaking to the audience, getting better and better at the monologue. Like that would be so cool to watch live on a play. And I think he does that. And I think that dialogue heavy stuff in his early work is what really, really sells it. I think you see it a lot in Hateful Eight as well. I think Hateful Eight is very much like look what I can do visually by just watching snow pass on the ground. But also like, look how much I can make these people talk. Look how stagey I can make these things. Look how dynamic I can make people just trapped in a cabin having a conversation. And I think that's something I really admire about his early work too. So I agree with you, Nick. I think that stuff is really some of the more interesting stuff. And then it's punctuated by these like incredible moments of violence where, you know, you have these great conversations and all of a sudden an ear's getting ripped off. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? And I love that. I love that thing about his early work. Those are things that really stick out to me.
Yeah. Ethan, what do you think about Tarantino's work before Kill Bill?
Oh, I personally love that era because it has such like this B movie feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like Pulp Fiction was the film I watched after Kill Bill, and that really got me very curious into his work because I love that movie to death. Like he already had my curiosity, and then he got my attention with that movie. And then Reservoir Dogs especially feels very raw. And I'm saying that as somebody that is like trying to lean into that filmmaking aspect. I just appreciate Reservoir Dogs for what it is and what it was doing, because I like seeing creatives in their early work. And it was funny, my roommate in college watched it like not too long ago, and he texted me. He's like, is it bad that I feel like I could have made this movie? And we just had a whole like hour-long conversation about it, and I'm like, listen here, man, you do not have the sauce that Tarantino has. The dialogue in that, like right off the cuff, where they're going on the whole monologue about what like a virgin means, is like, yeah, I do agree that the dialogue heavy stuff is kind of more what makes Tarantino stand out, because across other directors, that's something that he's always had a leg up over. And kind of balancing it out between the dialogue and the violence, because the violence feels intentional. It's attacking Nazis, so
yeah,
people are not going to have much sympathy for those guys. So,
and that's why I think Inglourious Bastards. That's why I think it is probably his true masterpiece. I think it's the strongest because I think it blends the best of both worlds. It is so insanely dialogue heavy, more than people remember. I think it's definitely one of those movies where if you go back and watch it, you're like, oh God. I think Django Unchained fits this category as well too, right? Where they are both equal parts extreme dialogue and extreme violence, just beautifully blended together. And so I think those two are kind of in my top echelon, but I think Inglourious Bastards is really where he nails it. This ability to introduce a squad of people that beat Nazis to death with a baseball bat but then also have this just one of the most intense dialogue sequences to open your movie I have ever seen on screen. And coming from, I mean, God, you want to talk about people that should never catch strays. Coming from somebody like Christoph Waltz, who's no one in the US had ever heard of, and just watching that man sit down at a table and deliver some of the best 10 minutes of dialogue I've just ever heard. Like, it is just so natural and haunting and terrifying,
Oh,
and
he
there's
is
no violence in it
terrifying in that
whatsoever.
movie, yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Extreme dialogue, extreme violence. Was that a slip?
Nope, that's me.
Ah,
That's all
right.
me, baby.
That's
Yeah.
all
It's
him.
a hard game.
This is a hard game.
It's
No,
tough, man. It's tough. I think I feel like I should get better at calling Thomas out, because Thomas and I, we podcast a lot. So I know his language, and so I should be better at this. But it is very challenging when it is all
video. I don't know how this comes out. If the video comes out, most of it's going to be me sitting like this.
being suspicious of everyone.
Yeah, I get the age of just like hearing like all of y'all's like takes and ideas. I'm just like, oh, does that sound like something a human would say? It's a good litmus test for how bad AI is getting. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, so I'm not playing. I can't play and keep track of everyone. So don't have to worry about me when I'm talking. You can rest when I have my things to say. But no, you guys are doing great. This is a lot of fun. Okay, were there any other thoughts? Nick, did you have a chance to talk about pre-Kill Bill career?
Yeah, I talked about the dialogue.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
So now we have Kill Bill. We've talked about that. What about post Kill Bill? How have we felt about Tarantino's career since Kill Bill? And I think more importantly, and this is something that I have been thinking about, is how has his newer movies informed how you watch his older movies?
Well, it's interesting because, again, like Derek was saying, like, I really do think Inglourious Basterds is his best movie. It's a masterpiece. My wife is not a Quentin Tarantino fan. It's very hard for me to get her to like sit and watch movies of like certain movies. And I was like, usually I'm just like, give it 20 minutes, and if you're not into it, go away. But that's tricky because that's usually where all like the exposition is in a film. And so I put on Bastards, and that's like just the ultimate like perfect example of just like you're just really sitting in that tension of just like, this is incredible. What the hell is going to happen? Like I don't know. And then she ended up staying and watching the whole movie. She doesn't do that with a lot of Tarantino stuff. So what I like about Tarantino, he's one of the few directors who can make exposition like actually entertaining. Like he can actually like keep you like engaged in everything. And then again, like we said, it's that tension building. He's just a master of like, what's going to happen? Where's this guy going to go? What is Christoph like? Is he a genius or an idiot? You just don't know. And so that's like the big thing that I just love about Bastards. But really the whole film is just a masterclass in editing. It's a masterclass in storytelling. You know what I mean? Like it really is just like every beat connects. Like the whole 5-act structure works so well. I do like a lot of the other ones, but again, for me, after Sully Monkey Pass, it's like no shade to the other editors who have done his stuff, but I think he got surrounded by yes men. And Sally was never that. I think Sally was the one person in Quentin Tarantino's orbit that could tell him no. And I think you kind of start to feel that after, with a lot of the other movies, they start to feel a little belabored or a little long or a little like just like reveling in their own juices, you know. So for me, I'd like Inglourious is like his best movie, and I think it's his last like perfect movie. I don't know if he'll ever top that, even if he does do like a 10th film. You know what I mean? But we'll always have Bastards, and I really do think that's just, to me, that is one of the best American-made films of all time.
Nick, what do you think about his career after Kill Bill, and how has that informed how you watch his movies, his older movies?
Yeah, it's funny. Even though I say, like I like dialogue-heavy films and things like that, and I think that is the hallmark of the early selections that he has. The post-Kill Bill era is easily my favorite Quentin Tarantino era. Even movies like Django Unchained is my favorite Kill Bill film. It always has been. Favorite Kill Bill, but favorite Tarantino film. It always has been. I think it always will be. I really like the weird kind of buddy cop aspect of Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz's character, and then you have kind of even like Leo, but even like Don Johnson, just the subtle villainy. And I mean, Leo has this a lot in Once Upon a Hollywood too, where it just kind of feels like he's calm, he's cool, he's relaxed, and then he's neurotic, he's crazy, and feels like he can like fly off the handle anytime. and you don't know when you're watching it where he's going to go, and it's juxtaposed great with like the chill Brad Pitt character in that film. And I think that the one thing Tarantino did really well post Kill Bill is he found out the way to make his characters complement each other better than he did in his earlier films. Like, I think even in Kill Bill, I think Michael Madsen's character gets a little bit lost in the shuffle compared to some of the other people he's against. And like, one of the things I didn't mention about that film is my favorite part of that film is the opening scene with Vivica A. Fox. I wish I got more of that, because that's kind of what I was looking for in that film. And I think she is a great juxtaposition to The Bride. And I think that he doesn't make, I don't want to say mistakes, but his characters blend together so much better in his later films that it's more like fitting the correct pieces of a puzzle in, and you have the right counter for each one that makes them work stronger. I think The Hateful Eight's a great example of that, where all of the characters work really well together, even if they aren't his strongest individually. I think he gets the idea of making it all work together really well. I think Quentin Tarantino would actually end up doing a really good Knives Out film if he decided to end up doing that. I think that would really fit well with his style of filmmaking. But yeah, I think that is the best part that he does, is making everyone work well together. And that's what I like most about those latter films.
His characters complement each other. Was that a slip?
It was. I think there's a lot you said that could have been but not that I know of. He was just firing on all cylinders with that one.
Oh, man, I was so confident at the start of this game. I got like 2, and now I'm just like handing out points. Like,
I know. That's what
everybody's like counting on me to just be like, I'll say something kind of vague. And Andy will just take the bait.
Those are the points I'm getting. I'm not even reading the list anymore.
It's because it's like I'm trying to now sneak in like generic kind of like things.
Yeah, right.
That someone takes the bait, but then I'm like, oh wait, no one else is calling stuff out but me. So
but it's keeping the episode
I tried
entertaining.
Twice and I got shut down both times, so now I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. I do actually want to piggyback on Nick, because I really liked the way that he kind of framed his latter work, and I think you're absolutely spot on. I think you can watch him in his early days, even like those first 4 from Reservoir Dogs to Kill Bill, where he is trying to identify how to make all of his characters actually fit into the movie. And in Kill Bill particularly, you're absolutely right. I think Vivica A. Fox, I think Michael Madsen's character, I think even Daryl Hannah's character, I think all of them get a slightly shortchanged because he just doesn't quite know how to get all of them in there in the way that he does something like one thing that really struck me about watching it again in The Whole Bloody Affair was just how fucking good Lucy Liu is. I just like, I don't know why I forgot that, but I just like from the minute you see her in that black and white where they're all just kind of standing up her and it zooms in on her face and we're about to go into the end, I was like, oh shit, that's right. Lucy Liu rocks in this movie.
Oh, even just the boardroom scene, she's just like so innocent.
Oh my god, dude, she's so good. But she is also like she is like the beta test for what he does after. Right, because she gets the most attention. She's the longest part of any of the 4, right, of the Deadly Viper Squad. She's the one that gets the most attention. She is also the most developed. She's the one that compliments the bride the most. You can tell, even though they don't meet until basically the last 30 minutes of this movie, their little back and forth banter in just the way of like the silly rabbit tricks are for kids, you just immediately know that they have a relationship. That this has been something that, and you don't get that from pretty much anybody else. They're all just kind of added pieces that are like, okay, well, we need Bud, and we need someone that hates her but respects her, and they're just blanket. Whereas Orenishi has a lot more development, and I think I say all that because once you get into things like Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, Inglourious Bastards, every single person that you meet is basically an Orenishi. They're all developed. They all feel like, yeah, we're and this is why Inglourious Bastards I think is just unassailable, right? Because he does that across like 3 movies that are all built into this one, right? Like you have Shoshana, and you have that whole sequence, and then you have the actual like Nazi regime and every character that we meet from them. And then you have this, basically Hateful Eight behind the scenes death squad of Nazi, and all of them feel realized. You have so many characters in this movie, and every single one of them is important to the story. And I think he just does such a better job later in dialing that in and understanding that, like, yes, every person that we meet are going to be vital. It does extend things a little bit longer than they should be. So I think there's some stretching when it comes to like the narrative frameworks. I think you particularly feel that in Django, where Django feels like it is definitively 2 movies. If I've ever seen one that feels like it should be 2 movies, it is everything before Candyland and then everything after they get to Candyland, because you can start at Candyland and you are watching a totally different movie. And while they do work together, like you are starting something when they arrive in Candyland. That is the start of a new movie.
100%, because even like I was thinking about that when I watched Django again recently, because it's like I think something he started doing later was he gave like every character like a backstory, and not just like the first people on the call sheet, like everybody a backstory. Like when we were watching the Nazi scene, like a background extra usually performs like a tiny action and feels rehearsed for days, but then it's like when you actually see everyone, it's like, no, he probably told this guy like, okay, you work with Goebbels, you actually have like you're trying to get to this seat so you can be closer to Hitler. It's like every single like extra has like their own like thing that they're doing, and it's just like incredible to see the world building that he has, not just with like he's a director that loves actors. I think that's something we forget about when we talk about like the Paul Dano-ish esque of everything. Like he's someone who really does care about the craft and like the performances of everyone, and not just like who's in front. He knows like his films will live forever, and it's like even the people in the background, like what's their little deal, like the shop maker, like why did he come here today? Like it seems like the older he's gotten, the more he just gives everyone like a little piece of something to do. And I think that's something I start to like feel more and more.
Too. Yeah, he gets the best out of those. You can feel that love of actors for sure. You can tell he does that. And Christoph Waltz and even Leo, like this is one of my favorite Leo performances is in Django Unchained, because it's so against type. It's so not like anything he's ever done, but you can still see all of Leo in there. Same thing with Sam Jackson, like him just letting Sam Jackson just fucking play jazz in this movie as just an angry house guy is just incredible, just absolutely incredible. Yeah, I said house guy. I know that's not the right term, but that's
I established at the start. We're just not gonna say it. We never do.
He also, it's funny though, because he has one of my favorite lines. I can say it. I'm half black, but one of my favorite lines in that entire movie.
Was that one? Was that a? No, I'm teasing.
No. I can say it. I'm half black. I'm going to add.
Yeah.
Now I was like a Tarantino thing.
But when he sees Django coming onto the field in the distance, and he's like, "Who's that nigga up there on that knife?" I send that to people for no reason whatsoever in meme format. That is just one of the funniest lines I've ever seen, and the way he delivers it, and like we've never met this guy before, and as soon as he opens his mouth and that's the first line he says, you're like, "Oh yeah, I know everything I need to know about this guy. I know everything I need to know about him in one singular line." And I think that can only come from a director that truly loves the people that he's working with and is able to identify what they do best and then allowing them to do that in the movie unencumbered. And I think he really develops that in his latter work. I think post Kill Bill, that's when it really starts to dial in. I think a lot of pre Kill Bill, some of those people are kind of fit in. I think you see it a little bit with somebody like John Travolta. I think he gets a lot of really good stuff out of John, but a lot of them just kind of feel like they're doing the script, right? They're doing the thing that they're supposed to do. Whereas when you get into things like Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time, like they're vibing, like they are dialed into this world, and they're no longer just doing the script. They are literally living these characters, and I think that's what's so fascinating about his post Kill Bill career.
I know that there was a slip there, but I'm not gonna. I've given you too many points. Like I'm not even gonna try. I think half your points are me at this point.
Yeah.
Ethan, I want to hear from you about Tarantino's career after Kill Bill. How have you felt about his more recent movies, and how has that helped you think about his older ones?
Oh yeah, I think Derek put it pretty well, where he was talking about how the actors themselves were kind of living the characters, because as we were talking, I just kind of realized how much the performances in the newer films kind of carry that work. Like whenever I think about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think about how cool and electric Brad Pitt was as just the stunt double to Leo in that, and Leo in Django Unchained is just a great performance. I love the little fun fact about him actually like having his hand cut and then wiping blood. Like they do just breathe the characters. So I will agree that as much as I like the older work, I think more like the dialogue in there and the editing stands out a little bit more than some of the performances outside of like Sam Jackson, who is just iconic in every film that he's been in with Tarantino. So
Even
I
in
will
Kill
say,
Bill, where he has one line.
I said that exactly, but everybody knows that movie with Sam Jackson in it. So I will say, like, the performances, I think in the second half of the career, definitely some of the ones as I mentioned are standouts to me versus some of his earlier stuff, even though I kind of personally like some of his earlier stuff more.
I also like. I was just going off of that. I was just thinking about how like I think his writing has gotten better. Another way of is just like how like not smarter per se, but like more confident and like intelligent. I guess that like a lot of his characters have gotten like in his later movies. Like the first like couple, it's kind of like a lot of like you think of like Pulp Fiction and like Shooting Marvin or like a lot of like the ways the robbery goes wrong. It's kind of a comedy of errors. Like it's like from Reservoir Dogs, like someone always gives the world's most confident like bad idea to at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's like, oh, everyone has agency, everyone has an idea of how they're going to do something and how everything connects. It's just like I don't know if that's like the intelligence of like Quentin just getting older and getting more removed from the genre of everything. But it's something I've like felt later on, like again, like a lot of his earlier ones are almost like caricatures, like they're cardboard cutouts of these things he wants to do in genre. But in like later in the film, like they feel like more like that's just Sharon Tate. Like they just feel more like real people, and I think it's something where
They feel
like,
lived in, like they feel like there's a greater world outside of it.
Yeah. There is definitely a maturity to not just his writing, but the characters that he writes. So I think if you take the characters from something like even if you take characters from Kill Bill and then you place them against characters in something like Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards, there is such a like because Django Unchained and Kill Bill, they're both revenge stories, like and they're both homages to one's a Western, one's a martial arts movie, so they share a lot of really strong similarities. But I think there is so much more of a maturity to the revenge story that he's trying to communicate in. As fun as Kill Bill is, I feel like Django Unchained is like the grown-up parent to that movie in dialogue and character development and the way that he's kind of just created that, and it feels more lived in. And granted, Kill Bill is not supposed to feel lived in. It's hyper stylized on purpose. The way the characters talk to each other, like there's a reason they all sound like they can win an argument at 3 a.m. because that's when you watch these movies. Like that's when like you come home, you stumble in drunk, and you're like, oh shit, let's watch Shaolin Monks, and then they all talk in this weird kind of hyperbolic wisdom language type of thing, and you're just
his signal. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot to that. And yeah, Nick, go ahead and bring us home on this one. What were your thoughts on his post Kill Bill career?
Well, I think we were talking so much about his different characters, and I think a great example of how his writing has evolved for characters is there's no world where we would get a Reservoir Dogs or a Pulp Fiction spin-off into a miniseries like we're getting with Cliff Booth. But because Cliff Booth is such a well-realized character, he made within that movie. Obviously, it is a little bit longer than some of his other films, but because of that, there's enough there to mine that we're not getting a whole series based on Brad Pitt's character in that film. And I don't think Tarantino, I don't necessarily want to say had the ability, but I don't think he was able to fully realize a character like that in his early work, or if he was, he just didn't. And I think that that's the big advancement that he made, is the characters are more memorable, and as you think into them further, there's not little cracks and things where you're like, oh, you know, this feels like a little bit of a cliche or a character or a caricature. They're just genuine, authentic characters, and it makes you connect to them so much more than some of the earlier ones, which, yeah, almost feels like a stage play, and you're watching this experience of everything, but the pieces themselves don't stand out in the same way.
Again, it feels like there's one in there, but I've lost too many points to you. I'm gonna let it slide. So, do you want me to message Derek, see if he's able to get back on? Oh wait, are people able to hear me?
Sorry, I'm muted, guys. Sorry.
Oh.
I was gonna say, like, I didn't want to fill the space. I was just gonna let it like hang out,
Like,
be fly on the
silently
wall
wait.
for a minute.
Sorry about that. No, it's funny. You said stage play, and I was like, wait, that was a line, but that was actually Derek's line he delivered a while ago. So
Yeah, I knew that was one of them. Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah,
He's back.
Derek.
I was going to call him out on the slip, but I wasn't sure. And then I was like,
well,
wait,
I'm
I get this
bitchy
point.
about it because we're an in game. So I'm
Well,
like,
Derek,
my internet shit out, and I had a whole extra point that would have, I think, thrown you guys off the scent if you didn't call it. But
Don't worry, I counted it, Derek. I counted it. So
Okay.
I thought it was the 3 a.m. one. That was what
the
I was
3
gonna
a.m.
call
one
out.
was absolutely a line, but no, I'll give him that point. But we're gonna go ahead. Welcome back, Derek. And now that you're back, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up.
Oh, perfect. Excellent.
While we wrap up, I want to give you guys a question. Where did my notes go? I'm looking at a bunch of notes. So the exit question today is going to be, who is Quentin Tarantino going to insult next and why?
us. He's gonna watch this, and he's gonna. I think he's one of those dudes that he just like Google searches his name, and then he will like watch all of those
100%,
things.
100%.
I hope so. I hope
he
he goes
will
on
work
another
himself
podcast and
up
be
to be upset about what somebody
Yeah.
says about him.
I hope he goes on another podcast and says, those guys over at ForReel and all my friends are movie fans, they're the worst actors outside of SAG. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, yes.
But then again, that's just
yes,
it's
we
that
are.
Eminem
Thank
thing.
you.
Put
Lose,
us on the
lose,
map,
win, win,
please,
for you,
please,
just, like,
please. I
raises
welcome
you up.
that.
Right. Okay, let me tally some points really quick. Yeah, you guys did really good on this. Thank you.
I
This is a fun
one that
game.
I'm pretty sure I said, but
Which-
if you
which
really
one
think I flubbed a word,
Which one did I miss? Was it the dialogue one?
it's no. So it's the top one I did say.
Okay.
The middle one, there's one line I got that I just refused to say on principle alone. I was like, I don't care if this loses me the game. Can I say what the line is?
Yeah, you can. We can go ahead and do it.
I said every line except for one. It was he directs dialogue like action and action like dialogue. And I was like, that doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
on
that's some
principle alone, I was just like, I'm not
pretentious
saying
nerd
that. If it
film
cost me
shit.
the game, so be it. I was just like, especially when I heard it was like a ChatGPT thing, I was just like, that's not coming out of my lips.
I think I got
There
the
you go.
third one on my lines.
The third one.
When I was talking about Leo losing it.
Yeah, I thought I heard that, but wasn't entirely sure. Okay, I do remember.
I will
that
say,
happening.
I went back and did a couple of twice because when you didn't highlight, I was like, oh, it's because I like changed a word or I like.
Well,
I changed
let
the
me
inflection.
also explain is that I was trying to stay tuned into the conversation without
Right.
looking like, oh, you said a line, go over here and highlight the line.
Right.
I was actually a
I
little
started
nervous about
watching
my.
for it, if I'm being honest. I really
I
did.
did too. I kind of used it as a tell, but then he started looking at his screen the whole time, and I was like, oh,
Yes.
I can't like
Yeah.
make heads or tails of this anymore.
It was very intentional. I actually got nervous about my mouse clicking. I wasn't sure if you guys could hear the
I couldn't
mouse.
see that, but I was like, every time you would like turn to look, I was like, okay, we're in agreement. That could be it. It's one of like buzzers because it's like if I was able to be like that one.
That one, yeah,
It's like
that would be cool.
What I ended up doing is I would like really sneak it in, but then word vomit like either side and try to get generic sounding things in there to just kind of like throw the scent off, like you know.
Yeah.
I think
You
I
know
said
what?
multiple times like he's a director's actor.
Yes,
know?
you did. Yes.
Or no, an
Yeah,
actor's
but-
director. That's what I said.
But sometimes though, like something like that, where it's like that's just a good. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I piggybacked on some of your lines and didn't even catch the slip. I'm sure I did it to Nick for sure.
Yeah.
I piggybacked on you a lot. So I'm sure you did a slip in there, and I was like, "Yeah, let me expand on this Chat GPT line."
Oh, yeah.
Thomas
I mean, he's talking about genre, okay? And I would like start thinking, how can I like? But again, it's like none of us know each other. It's like such a rude thing to be like, "That's a basic take if ever I heard." Like, it's just what a weird way to like meet people.
But now this will live in your memory and on the internet.
Oh no,
forever,
it definitely will.
Yeah,
definitely
now it's
will.
gonna affect. I have to go to like an Ace thing later tonight, and it's like I'm gonna be talking to big editors and just being like, "Is that something that you're thinking, or is that a line you're doing?" It's gonna infect the rest of my day.
It's funny. Derek was actually really good at dropping the line, but continuing to reference it so that it wasn't conspicuous. Like that was.
That's the only one I couldn't get.
No, I kept hearing masterpiece over and over again. I was just like,
You know what's interesting? Masterpiece was his thought. The masterpiece isn't a word on any of his.
I stand on business. The only one I didn't get in was there's always a point where a character stares like they're solving math. And I feel like I could have got. I think if my internet didn't shit out, I probably could have done it.
Sure. Yeah, I really had to work in a background extra usually performs a tiny action that feels rehearsed for days. Like I tried to sneak it in at the start, but then I had misread it. I was like, I had thought it was about him, and then I missed 2 words. So then I had to okay, how can I like bring this back without people like hearing?
I will tell you, hit that slip really well because I genuinely, I was like, that's a real thought. That's really, I never thought about it. That was really good.
The big one I had that was like an editing one. His editing choices feel like they're winking at the audience, and it was like, how do I fit that in? Yeah, that was a tough one because
how
I was
do
like,
I get pocket watch hiding an ass in the?
You know what you should do next time? You should just do like quotes from his movies. I think that would be a more impressive game to be like, how can you sneak in bad?
Yeah, that's where I was trying to operate. It was just more of like the movie quotes.
Yeah,
that would be really fun. I didn't have time to look up enough movie quotes, and so I kind of went this route. This is the cheap route. But next time, now that I know that this works, let's actually get movie quotes. Like,
without it being you directly quoting, it has to be something you, the panelists, are saying. Like,
exactly.
Really
that would be, and then I can play, and then I can participate. That'd be fun.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice. Well done, guys. This was a really great conversation. Let's go ahead and wrap up with some plugs. So what do you guys have going on? What would you like people to know? Nick, since you're in the first position right now, we'll just go ahead and start with you.
Check out Bite Size Breakdown. We do all of our reviews in 100 words or less. If you want more of the conversation, check out our YouTube channel, Bite Size Breakdown. Watch a Bigger Bite, where we do spoiler discussions on whatever the most recent films that come out are. And Bite Size Breakdown on all socials.
Awesome. Ethan, anything people should know about with you and what you're working on?
Google my name. I'll probably have some stuff out. Just trying to build up a portfolio and get out of the Midwest because there's like jack shit happening there with film opportunities.
I'm from Texas, man. I feel you, buddy. You'll get out here soon enough.
He's networking, guys. Go connect with him. Andy, anything you want people to know about you?
Hit me on Letterboxd at andyyoungfilm.com. If you're a comic book fan, check out a web series I did called The Comic Shop. Shout out OMG Comics. If you have children or nieces and nephews, check out a children's show I cut called Bat Fan. If you don't have children and you're watching a full hour of people talking about Quentin Tarantino, this one might not be for you. Otherwise, it's a great show. Like if you got kids or you have the mind of a child, check it out.
Awesome. Derek, how about you? What do people need to know about you?
Follow me on all my socials. I'm on all of them. Apparently, I'm hated on Threads, which is pretty fun. So it's just because I said Avatar isn't good, and everybody got really mad at me.
You're not wrong. Have you seen the new one? It's
I most certainly have, and strangely, it's the one I dislike the least. But I also that's not a compliment.
You guys are wrong. I saw the third one early. That's an amazing thing to say because it's literally just the second one.
Oh no, it definitely is. But I liked this version of the second one better than the second.
All right, I'll
yes, exact 100%.
Oh my gosh!
So like Avatar is like Pocahontas. So like, well, Avatar is going to be like Avatar.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh!
No,
next time on All My Friends Are Movie Fans.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be bummed about it until people can see it, but I'm like, I went to the early premiere and I was like, what? Can you do that?
Yeah, I know we're signing off, but Thomas actually assigned me Avatar, Fire and Ash, and Anaconda, which are like the 2 worst A's coming out in December. and I am like so mad at him that I actually have to not just watch them, but I actually have to talk about them. So,
oh, rats! I was stoked for Anaconda.
yeah,
All right.
all of that ire is going to come down on me because yes, Avatar is fine, and apparently on Threads people don't like that. So
I'll go follow Derek on Letterboxd. He's a very fun follow.
Yeah, so follow me on Letterboxd, follow me on all of those. It's DRock Comedy, DRock OK Comedy, and then you check out all of my written work on nerdbot.com. Just Google Nerdbot and then just Google my name. I have reviews out all the time. I'm going to be start working on all of my best ofs and least favorites and disappointments and starting to build all those lists since I've kind of crossed off almost everything for December now. And yeah, check out this For Real. Great website. Great content, and I'm usually on all of these. So, and also Tarantino will go after Marvel next and join Martin Scorsese as the amusement park hating Marvel and throw particularly Chris Evans under the bus, which will absolutely light the internet on fire for a good week and a half.
Oh, I love that you were like literally you're calling corner pocket, like you're
Oh
literally.
yeah. Yeah, he's gonna go after Marvel and then he's gonna go after Chris Evans, and I'm here for it. I'm ready. Let's go.
I do have a quick funny story. I didn't want to hog it when it came up, but like, so I used to write for Movie Maker magazine, and I got to interview all these big people. One of whom was what's his name? Robert Duvall, which was amazing, and I was so excited to talk to him about like Network and Godfather. The two most fascinating things about him is one, he hates Network. He does not think that's one of his best movies, which is crazy to me. And two, he hates Stanley Kubrick. Like, it was kind of like he was playing this game where he kept finding opportunities to be like, oh, Stanley Kubrick's such a piece of shit. If you need like this many takes, you're not a good director. And then I would ask like a totally different question. He was like, well, this reminds me of like Stanley Kubrick. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, you're not related to Shelley Duvall. Like, what stake do you have in the Stanley Kubrick race? But like, this interview was 10 years ago, and I still think about it all the time. It's still like so funny to me that he really just had a bone to pick with Stanley Kubrick that day.
That's pretty funny.
I love it. I love it. That sounds great. Let's find more celebrities with bones to pick with other celebrities.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, thanks for listening. You can find this podcast and a bunch of other podcasts at thisisforreel.com. For real, of course, spelled FORREEL. I have a bunch going on. I'm hoping to spend December getting out all of the interviews and content that I did not do at all these festivals that I've done. So this is like my catch up on content before the year ends time. So I'm working on all of that. And I also have a project that I'm kind of working on. I'm not going to announce it just yet. I don't know if it'll be online when this goes online, but it's coming soon. It's a project I'm working on, and I can't wait to tell more people about it.
Shadow plug.
Yeah. There's.
I love the general.
I know what it is.
For
I'm
something.
excited.
Yeah. No, I'm just this is actually a whole bunch of insecurity. That's what's happening here. Anyway, more information on that to come, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for doing this. Just in case anyone is like yelling at their device about who won, it was very close. Congratulations, Andy, you won with 12 points.
Hey! I knew those call outs was going to get me there at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to do something with all this points money.
I know.
Derek assured me there was a cash prize.
Yes,
I may have oversold what we're giving away. I apologize.
But it got you here. So.
We just needed to
exactly. All I do in my work life, my personal life is just to win nerd love. So
there you go. Well, you get all the nerd love today.
Yeah, I'm glad this all went somewhere. Thank you for having me so much.
Yes, you're very welcome. For all of you guys listening, this has been another episode of All My Friends Are Movie Fans, a For Real original series. If you're a movie fan, you should be one of our friends too. Connect with us at the links in the description and tune in again next time. See you guys later.